That's right. And we're live. No, yeah, and you're actually close to your old home with Jenny McCarthy right there, huh?
Yep.
Oh man.
Sorry, at the grocery store a little bit ago.
Wait, what pinball machine is it?
It is the Roadshow, the construction one. With
The
Ted.
Roadshow.
The best one is like the Elton John one with he's got like huge heels on. Have you seen that one? The Elton John pinball machine.
I want that one.
That
That's what I get in the will that I'm waiting for. I'm gonna drive that thing back to Portland.
I'm calling this episode the Roadshow right now. There's the title right there. I was thinking about something like ARP or something since it's 65, but maybe the Roadshow works. Okay, everybody ready? Kurt, you ready with the music? You're good? All right, John, edit here. Hello, and welcome to Techlandia. How are you doing today? I'm Chromebook Sammy, down in Austin, Texas. Over in Chicago, Illinois, we have the lovely and talented
Alton Anderson, also known as Ted Rosicki.
And she can beat your butt in Roadshow. Just remember that, the pinball game that's behind her.
I hold the record
it
right
for
now.
Years. Allison, just out of curiosity, did you play Jenny McCarthy on that pinball machine as a young girl?
I did not know her that well.
Okay. Yeah, because you were a freshman when she was a senior, right?
Right.
Okay. We will stop right there and go over to the charming and dashing Blue Steel up in Janesville, Wisconsin.
Or lacrosse, whichever. And for the record, I have never heard of Janice McThompson. I don't know even what you're talking about. But hey, my name is Kurt Reese, and I'm in La Crosse, Wisconsin on the Twitter, so you can find me at Kurt Reese.
Yeah, I don't know who that person is. I don't even know. Just a friend of Allison's.
She's an actress, I heard.
That's right. All right, and we're going to go to the OC right now, and we have a special guest. We're going to call he's kind of like the Shecky Green tonight of Techlandia. We have one half of the Bedley brothers. Scott Bedley, go ahead and introduce yourself.
I am Scott Bedley, also known as at Task Fair or at Scott Teach now, because of an iPhone crash. So.
Oh, really? No, it's not at Scott Bedley anymore?
Not at Scott Bedley.
Wow, I'm glad I wasn't tweeting to. I like Task Fair. I like to tweet at Task Fair. All right. Thank you for being here, Scott Bedley.
Hey, I'm glad to be the sixth wheel on this.
Yes, Scott. We've decided that we've had such fine, lovely people these last few weeks that we needed just to overload Allison with testosterone and just get as many white males in here as possible. So that's what we did. All right. So here you go. Ready? I watch this. What happens on Voxer season? By the way, I want to say I've seen a lot of people tweeting about the Voxer lately. That's good. I'm glad you guys are getting the hang of it. We only told you about the Voxer a long time ago, but good. I'm glad you guys are getting on there. Now they need to fix Voxer so it works. But on Voxer, Scott Bedley has said this about our next guest. Here we go. Oh, did I say guest? I meant guest. He is an amazing dude. I love that guy. He's incredibly intelligent, and his perspective is spot on.
Thanks, Scott. I appreciate you saying that about me today.
And what did the Californians throw in there too? He might have thrown in like dude or something like that.
No, stoked. No choice.
Stoked, yeah, he was stoked. He's so stoked to be on here. But he said that about our first of our special guests, Reuben Hoffman. Reuben, introduce yourself.
I am Reuben Hoffman, San Diego, California, at Reuben Hoffman, and that's about it.
Okay.
Hey, and some people don't know how to spell Reuben.
Reubenhoffman. There are many spellings. It could be Rubin, Ruben. It could be Rueben. But mine is Reuben, biblical.
Okay. Or like the sandwich.
And Hoffman with one N.
Yeah.
This is like our ode to the spelling bee that was just. I was watching it.
Yeah,
and his name's been spelled every way too. So.
Okay, and Dan, Scott actually just met Dan through this hangout, but Scott Bedley said this about Dan McDowell. He's an amazing dude. I love that guy. He's incredibly intelligent, and his perspective is spot on. He's the peanut butter to Reuben Hoffman's jelly. Dan McDowell, everyone.
All right. Hey.
Dan, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Dan McDowell. I'm just out of the classroom after 18 years, and now I'm a director of instructional technology in the Grosse Montaigne High School District right outside San Diego. Living the dream.
All right.
Yeah.
That's good. And is there a reason that we have you and Reuben on at the same time?
Reuben and I shared an office. We got hired into the school at the same time, and we shared an office for the last 6 or 7 years, and we've been doing a lot of presenting. And you can see next to under Reuben's name, he says EdTech Pirates, because we started presenting under that name, and we keep going with that, including going to ISTE this year.
Oh, good. You guys are going to ISTE, so we can talk a little bit about that too. So,
Yes, we are.
Reuben's like an ISTE expert, man. Last time I talked to him about ISTE, he was like, "Here's what you got to do. Here's who you have to see. Here's where you got to go." He's legit.
Reuben, why didn't you hook me up last year then? Alice and I could have used some help. We didn't.
Well, we didn't know you guys were there. We didn't know you then.
Okay. All right. That's fair enough. Fair enough. We could have had Dave Burgess on too, right? So why don't you guys talk about your Dave Burgess ties a little bit as well, just so we can get that out of the way, because that guy, everybody knows him anyway. But tell us about your ties to Dave Burgess.
Well, our name EdTech Pirates kind of started because Dan joined our office, but Dave and I have shared an office we did share an office for 16 years before he left the classroom last year. So originally we kind of had talked about, hey, why don't we try some mini conferences or whatever in our district. And so, of course, he was calling himself Teach Like a Pirate, and we decided to call ourselves the EdTech Pirates, and we were going to kind of join together. Didn't really materialize, but we are still, Dave's out of the classroom, but we're communicating with him all the time, and he's just tearing it up.
Yeah.
So.
And Dave also was hired with Reuben and I that same year at our school, so we all have this connection where we all came together at the same time there.
That's pretty cool. I know that
Yeah.
I said on a Techlandia not that long ago that I didn't know teaching like a pirate was a thing because I just kept my Jack Daniels in the and got ripped all the time and taught. And I think afterwards I said, just kidding, but Amber Tiemann, 8 Amber 8, was listening to that show with her husband, and he said, "Oh my God, I can't believe that guy just talked about drinking while he was on that podcast or whatever." And I was like, "Dude, I'm just kidding." And so if this is for Amber Tiemann, I don't think I've ever even had a drop of Jack Daniels in my life, and I have never had alcohol on the job. Just so you know. So I'm going to put that out there for him. So
Nice disclaimer.
Yeah. Notice how also tonight that I brought out Allison. You notice what hat I'm wearing right there?
Yeah.
What team is
Wow.
that?
That's the Brewers.
There we go. It's Milwaukee Brewers.
I
Kurt.
think that Jeffrey Dahmer played for the Brewers.
Yeah, Jeffrey Dahmer might have played for the Brewers. He might have been a custodian for
After
the
he
Brewers.
graduated from Marquette.
That's right.
No.
I'm spreading false rumors that Jeffrey Dahmer went to Marquette University just to discredit Allison. It's been horrible. That's not very fun. But Kurt, we're going to start a hashtag tonight. Kurt to Milwaukee in 2014.
I'm going to get there.
At some point this year.
I'm really going to seriously think about possibly planning to go there.
I'll be there July 25th.
July
awesome.
25th. I'll be in Lexington, Kentucky at that time. Sorry, Elsa.
Oh, man.
All right. Reuben, you ready to go? You ready to rock and roll? Reuben,
Sure.
you were with us on our show at Techlandia Live in Portland, weren't you?
I was. It was awesome. Sitting out there in the audience out there, and you guys had like 15 people up there.
Oh my gosh, we had like 50. Do you remember when the people were playing a game and they interrupted us and said, "Hey, if you want to play..."
Settlers of Catan.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's like serious business.
That was so funny. All right, Reuben. So we really do want to talk about what you're doing at your school, and what you guys have just been doing in general, because I met both of you at the Q conference. I had never met Dan before, but I'd met Reuben a few times, and you guys are doing some really cool stuff. So we'd like you to go ahead, and you can go into number 1 on the doc if you would like, and talk about designing your own school.
Yeah,
Is that a thing?
this is Dan and I kind of talked about some of the things we wanted to talk about today, and I just tried something with my students last week, and I asked them, hey, I teach a sociology class, 11th and 12th graders. And I have a lot of choice, free choice in that classroom, just to kind of do what I want to do and allow the students to do what they want to do. And so I asked them to why don't you guys want to try, like, just design your own school? Like, what do you think about that? And all of them were pretty into it. And it kind of stemmed. We did another project on if you could solve any problem in the correction system, what would it be? And one of my students had said he thinks it's education, like education of kids. So then I posed that question after that project. Hey, why don't we try designing our own school? And it was pretty interesting. They presented last week in just kind of their own thoughts, not a whole bunch of research into it, but the overwhelming, kind of statements that they came up with, and you guys saw them, some of them possibly on the doc. But one thing was, before we even start, was they said, why would we even do this? Because no one would listen to us. And so I said, well, what if I could get the superintendent, the assistant superintendent, what if I could get anybody from, admin from our school to come in and listen to you? And they said they won't listen to us. So that was pretty telling, just how students feel about adults on campuses. And then we kind of went in and they presented in class to each other very informally, and we just kind of had a really good discussion about it. But a few things came out from almost every group, and that was desire of choice, the ability to have students have their own choice in what they're learning, what they can choose to do in what they say. So that was a huge one. Designing lessons to incorporate individual interests was huge, and that's similar to choice, but this is more like, I'm really interested in this subject. Can I just focus on this and math, and that kind of stems into the project-based learning too. But why don't we take all those subjects and why can't I go to all my classes and still be learning the same thing? And then one other huge thing was they wanted to have some form of a pathway or major when they were juniors or seniors, where they could really focus in. So I don't know. I just thought that was I don't know how many people have asked students what they think, and I know Dan has done this also in the last couple weeks when he's been going out into classrooms as the director of instructional technology. So
that's cool. So Dan, what was your perspective on it?
Well, I actually haven't seen the project yet, because I'm one of the district people coming in when he presents. Is it next week, Reuben?
Yeah, next week we're gonna have superintendent, assistant superintendent, all these people in the classroom for a few different groups, because I kind of said, do you guys, who wants to continue? A lot of students chose to do like their final. I give them another big kind of final project where they can have a lot of choice in that and what they do. But a lot of the kids wanted to continue on, and I said, we don't have to invite these people in. And they said, no. A few of the groups said, we want to do it. So Dan will be in there next week, along with a bunch of the other administrators. So we'll see what the reaction is. But Dan, I was talking about, you went out into a classroom and you gave that little form. You want to talk about that?
Yeah. So kind of going in, talking about sort of a pirate-related theme, getting kids engaged in the classroom. And what I found is we've given out 50-some Chromebook carts to teachers, and so now I'm going around, 173 teachers sharing 50-some Chromebook carts. So I'm going around and going into all these classrooms just to see how they're being used. And I got asked to guest speak in one of the classes that has an education pathway. So I got in there, and I had to talk about tech and technology. So I had two parts. The first part, I lectured at them for about 5-8 minutes or so. Then I stopped it and said, okay, what'd you guys learn? What do you remember? And they just kind of looked back at me blankly, like, huh? And I said, yeah, that's kind of the point. And then I said, with show of hands, how many of your teachers yesterday, because it was period 2, talked to you for most of or the entire period? And I got many kids saying all 5 or 6 of their teachers talked at them for 53 minutes the day before. And I'm like, okay, what'd you learn? You know, and this was an education pathway, so it was, you know, very, very relevant to talk about that. And then we moved into an activity where they read a short article about today's student, and then filled out a Google form about a few things. But I asked 2 questions: what should today's schools be? And then 5 words to describe what today's school should be, and 5 words that describe what school is. And the one that when I pulled up and I threw all of them into the HTML5 word cloud that's going around right now, so I put a word cloud up of that last question, and bored was huge. So all of a sudden, you know, it was a great you know, teachable moment. Here I could then, you know, we could then talk about why they were bored. And stress was also pretty big, but it was the week before AP test. But you know, students are bored. And having gone into a lot of these classrooms, I can see why. You know, I've been in 25 classrooms in the last 5-6 weeks, and I can see why some students are bored, because their teachers aren't trying to engage them, and the technology is helping. And some teachers that I can imagine are just kind of go on and on. The kids are really engaged in what they're doing, even if it's just like answering a question on an iPad, or excuse me, on a Chromebook instead of a piece of paper. But they obviously need to take it to the next level beyond that, and really kind of thinking, you know, using technology and other methods teachers really need to get serious about how their students are participating in their class, because I don't think enough really think that deeply about it.
You know, and we're in the high school, so, you know, and my students and I, we talked a lot about this too. Like, how were you when you were in elementary school? What's changed since you were in elementary school with your learning and your interest? And so I think you know, we're seeing a whole different perspective than, you know, somebody teaching elementary school might see in these students. Just because, you know, kids are just curious and they learn, but once they start going and getting schooled, especially then when they get to us, junior or senior in high school, it's done. They're done, right. And they think they're just going through a hoop all the time. So
it's interesting. So you talked about the pathways. I don't think I've ever heard of that too much. So what about so you're saying that, like, as a junior or senior, they have, like, if I had known or I wanted to be a teacher when I was a junior or senior, they actually have kind of like a pathway that they'll take you through for different classes?
Yeah, our career technical education in California, there's a program, career technical education, that is developing pathways in the different industry sectors. So it's kind of, you know, and I actually, coming out of the classroom, I was in a digital arts pathway. I taught photography to one level, and then another teacher taught them digital arts, and I taught like advanced photography / multimedia as a senior when the kids came back as a senior. So they kind of went through the pathway, and these programs are now developing where they're going into cohorts that are linked up with core classes as well. So they're, you know, all those kids who are in that photography class are also in a world history class together or an English class together. So they're getting a little bit more, and those teachers are working together to try and make the curriculum a little more relevant and connect it to real world applications. That's called linked learning.
That's cool. All right, now I'm thinking back to my high school, and there was a lot of things that I took probably junior, senior year that weren't, like, I remember I did like sociology, Reuben, so that was one of my favorite classes and one of my favorite teachers. And I remember I took like etymology, though. I was taking Latin, just weird stuff. All right, but we do have a resident valedictorian on the panel right now. So Kurt Rees, would you have enjoyed having a little career pathway, and what pathway would you have chosen if you were a junior or senior, if you could remember back that far, because you're pretty old?
Yeah, and you know what? I was like a nerd student, so I was thankful of any class that I had. I was easily engaged, but I know that's not the typical student. You know, in school we work really hard to make sure kids are present, like physically present. But as you guys talk about, so many of them just mentally aren't there, so they're like in the classroom, but not really with it. So I wouldn't say I'm the typical student, because I just anything the teacher said I was totally for, and I was happy about it. But like all of those, okay, so whatever career I may have been interested in, like in 8th grade, we had to take some sort of vocational aptitude kind of test, and I was supposed to have been a pharmacist, and that didn't work out.
Ooh. I could see that though.
Like
Well,
Walter White kind of pharmacist.
Yeah, Walter White. You'd be kind of tall. You'd be tall back there because you'd be on the elevated platform, and then you'd be a really tall pharmacist. Then you'd be like, wow, that's funny. But yeah, I think that's interesting. The pathway thing. I mean, I could see that because that's kind of how I felt in high school. I felt like I was just kind of like going through the motions and getting ready to leave high school. But that's interesting. Now, Kurt is actually having a redesign of his school building. Kurt, I know it's elementary, but would you consider getting some input from students to see what like the older students might want? Is that something that you've considered at all and thought about? I bet you have.
Well, and we did talk with students, and one of the questions we asked was, how do you want to feel when you come to school? And a lot of them just said excited, interested. No, not bored.
Not bored. Yep.
Yeah, no one says, yeah, I want to come to school and I just totally want to mentally check out. No, nobody says that at all.
Ted says that.
Ted says that. That's funny.
There might be a few teachers that say that, though.
Yeah. And I can't remember who said this, but I remember reading it or hearing it somewhere, but someone said that our schools are perfectly docile white females. And I think that's pretty true. A lot of the classroom activities that we set up, are for the kids who sit still, listen, and are totally attentive, which is a minority of our students.
That's interesting. All right, so Scott Bedley, engagement. Do you have anything to say about engagement at school? Have you been engaging this week, Scott Bedley?
Yeah, no, I really believe that whole teach like a pirate thing is at the core of what teachers do, and if you're not engaging your students, there's a question about it. I know there's the other side of the argument. It's like, well, someone's boss, once they get out of school, is not going to be worrying about engaging them in their work. But that doesn't mean we don't need to do that in the classroom. So I think it's finding a balance between the two and providing an opportunity to motivate kids. And Reuben's really good at that as far as within using technology and things like that. Reuben, what do you do
with the technology?
Yeah.
One thing I think Dan and I, it's interesting because Dan was a student of Bernie Dodge. I don't know if you guys know who he was or is. He's still involved, but there was this thing called web quests, and people are still doing web quests. We've kind of modified that concept of the web quest a little bit, but took the ideas of creating a task and providing some resources and it's basically our lesson plan. But we call everything a challenge, and we want to challenge the students. And I'm big on labels, on how students hear things and they perceive things. If I just said it was an assignment, or we used to call it like a task, that sounds pretty negative to me. So always positioning things in a positive light. So we provide challenges. We do a lot of instruction that's flipped, not so much where they're taking it for homework, but more so to provide them with resources and skills that they can grab, and then we can get around the classroom and really have conversations with kids and help kids that need help. So we have Bring Your Own Device, Google Apps for Education. We've been doing that for 3-4 years now. Where our students have access to all that stuff. So technology isn't like an add-on in the classroom. It's just something that they do. And then, like I said, we try to provide a lot of challenging things, project-based, group assignments as well as individual. So we kind of just try to mix it up. I think that's the key thing like Dan said, we've been teaching together for a long time, and one thing that we do is just mix it up. Simulations to maybe there's a skill component this day, and always something different. I can't say that my students would think, well, I'll just go back to my high school experience in U.S. history. I just remember this, and probably why I became a teacher. Every day was the same. First day of the week, you have you read. Second day of the week, you fill out the worksheet. The third day of the week, the guy lectures. And then if there's a fourth day, we watch the real film, and then the 25 question test at the end of the week. And so that's never, my students wouldn't, if they say, what are we doing today? They would have no idea that the structure was going to be the same the next day. So I don't know. Those are the ways we mix it up and keep it hopefully engaging.
I think that's pretty. I mean, that's a good philosophy right there. It's almost like when we talked to Sarah, the teacher, and she's like, "Yeah, just do it. Just do it and mix it up." That sounds good. We could start taking like little philosophies of everybody and just kind of get it together, mash it up. Yeah, I always enjoy it. Kurt, you enjoy a good mashup, don't you?
I do enjoy a
Oh
good
my
mashup.
gosh, there's the Sweet Home Alabama with Nelly mashup. That's still one of my favorites. That's old too. Well, I think that's good. I mean, right? You gotta change it up a little bit and not be the same old. But that's right. So I really enjoyed my history teacher, and I remember he used to let me come in early, and he would play classical music on the. I could come in at 7:30, and I'd had first period study hall, and he'd let me sit in there the whole time and write me a pass out of it. I'd just do my work in the morning, and but boy, a lot of the things we did, it was kind of like that same routine. It was just like lecture, here we go. But I liked him, but yeah, he didn't really mix it up that much. So.
Well, and I'd like to say that I think that that's happening everywhere. But the people that I see teaching were Dan, and I'd see Dave Burgess, and then our other colleague Jared Carmen. We'd share a quad. Our offices were all connected, and so that's what I see as like normal. That's my normal, and I was informed that that's not normal.
I've been telling you that, Reuben. And I just want to throw something else with Reuben. Is Reuben has always done a great job of trying to come up with things that are authentic and things that kids will want to do. I mean, the design your own school project is not your regular old project. They come up with he and when he works with his team with the other class, the global studies class, they come up with things that are just creative, and the kids, I think, are more into them because it's out of the box. It's outside the box. It's not something that just a teacher's pulling out of the notebook and regurgitating from the year before. And I think that's really important as well. And having curriculum that's always evolving and getting better. If any teacher says, I got it down, I don't need to worry about it, then they don't, for sure.
They don't. I heard three most difficult word for adults and kids to say is I don't know.
Oh, I heard that the other day. What was that on?
Freakonomics.
That's what. Yeah.
I say that all the time. But I just it's like you kind of reflect now, and it's kind of painful to hear that like the high school kids think that that school is boring, because I think about myself right now. I still, and Scott and I talk about this a little bit, but I love to learn like all the time and learn new things and get ideas off Voxer and then go and explore. And I'm really never bored at any time during the day because I know there's always some kind of work I can do. And gosh, you'd really like to kind of instill that in the kids as their grains are actually growing and mine is just shrinking down to to nothing, into nothingness. But boy, I really enjoy learning and reading some things. Okay, so this is a question that kind of leads in there. We had a question on the Voxer from Carl Lindgren Omelet of Northern California, as we like to call it, NorCal. He said, are there any books that you guys are looking forward to? He wanted 1 or 2 book suggestions, and this might be a good one because we know that Kurt's, he's a reader. But what are the 1 or 2 books that you're looking forward to reading this summer? He was looking for some suggestions. He's already read Hop on Pop and Green Eggs and Ham, so now he's moving on to some more technical books here. So do you guys have anything besides Teach Like a Pirate? I mean, obviously everybody knows Teach Like a Pirate. Do you have anything that you guys are personally looking forward to on your reading list?
John, Carl's going to kill you too, by the way.
He was already going to kill me before that, so it's okay.
Dan, you got anything?
I'm working through Digital Leadership by Eric
Scheninger.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
And there's another one, It's Complicated by
Dana Boyd.
Yeah.
Thank you. So those 2 are the top on the list.
Okay.
That I find that I have less reading time right now when I'm super busy with stuff. So summertime, I'm looking forward to that. So those two are at the top. But I'm looking for suggestions if anybody has any more.
Okay, Kurt, I know probably has. He's got to have a couple ready for the summer.
Yeah, well, right now I'm finishing Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers, which I just, I'm about 3/4 of the way through it. It's absolutely fascinating. The chapter about plane crashes and the specificity of language, that's like the best chapter that I've read so far. And Scott Burke, what is his name? You guys were there. I have his
Scott
book.
Burkun?
Yep. The Year
Birkin?
Without Pants. Birkin.
Oh,
whatever his
yeah.
name is.
Yeah.
I have that. Thank you, Darren Hudgens, for giving me that book. But then also Tom and David Kelly wrote the book Creative Confidence. That one's on my reading list as well.
Okay.
I'd recommend. We got World Cup coming up, and there's a great book called Soccernomics. If you're, of course, we're not. It's just a great read, and kind of looking at the concept of why is it that certain countries dominate in the sport of soccer, regardless of their population. There's all these different factors that they found that lead to having the best chance to win the World Cup or always be a top team. So I found it fascinating, and Scott just mentioned Freakonomics is kind of along the same lines. So check it out.
Well, and Freakonomics has a new book out, I think now, called Think Like a Freak.
Yeah.
And
You're making that up. Is that real?
No,
Yeah.
for real.
Okay.
And, I'm looking forward to a book by Jose Vilson called "This Is Not a Test." And I don't know if you've read his blog or connected with him on Twitter, but the guy has a really amazing perspective on a lot of different things in public education, especially with regards to race. So it's.
Oh yeah, and that one just came out too. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So there we go.
Both of those are pretty new.
Gosh,
What about the AAA? Allison, what are you interested in reading this summer?
I'm a big YA fan, as you guys know. But so I just found this book called I Killed the Mockingbird. And it's
I saw that.
kind of John Greenish like, and I think that'll be a good one to read. It's for middle schoolers, but that's the level I would like to read.
Gavin, my son, who's almost 12, just got which John Green book would it be? Not The Fault in Our Stars. Has
Finding Alaska?
No, not that one.
Not that one. I want to read all the John Green books this summer too.
Yeah, John Green. If you have, if you want to read great books, you should read it yourself. But if you have a young person in your life who's like middle schoolish age, John Green, fantastic books.
But I would say the best middle school book that every single person in the world should read is Wonder. Don't you think, Kurt?
Yes, I want my second grader to read that this summer too. That's a very good book.
There we go. I'm looking forward personally to Phil Steele's college football yearbook that comes out every year in July. Phil Steele, a great football handicapper. Oh, wait a second. We're talking serious books? Okay. That's a ton of books right there. And look, we weren't even in the doc on that one. Look at you guys just taking them and taking the punches right there. All right, Carl Lindgren-Stryker, go read all those books, and we want to report back soon. Reuben, I know that we talked about this on the Voxer a little bit too, and it's too bad. Dan, are you on the Voxer at all?
I am on the Voxer.
We should have added you to the Voxer. We had the one with Kurt, Allison, Reuben, and I. You should have put Dan in there, but Reuben was talking about his ideas for what to talk about, and then why don't you talk? The second part is like the transforming your school and what you've been doing, like grassroots, because I'm a big 311 fan, and 311 has grassroots. So go ahead and talk about what you guys have been doing over the course to kind of change the culture of your school.
Dan, do you want to kick that off?
Sure. We, years ago, started doing just technology workshops as part of our August, come back to school. We'd get to spend, it used to be a day, it turned into a morning of, here are some new things, and not just, here's how to take attendance and how to look up the data, which obviously are important things that have to be done, but here are things you can do with your students. And, before we even were a Google Apps for Education school, we were already talking about Google stuff, saying, oh, your kids can just set up an account. And then when we became a Google Apps for Education school, not only did we continue doing with other engaging tools, Web 2.0 tools, that sort of thing, but also now how can we use these Google apps for education, core basic tools like docs and presentations and forms as kind of an everyday technology. Really, they should just be just like paper. And we've been working on, and I'm saying me as a part of the school that Reuben was at until October. And that was just part of everything we did, and we used it for our accreditation process. We used it for all the workshops we gave, and then we expanded workshops from just the August time to 2 or 3 times throughout the year as well. And so it was just, and all the presenters were our teachers at the school, so we don't bring outside people in, teachers who are using it and creating change in their classroom and encouraging other teachers to do the same. And they know the experts because they're down, they're a building away, or you walk by them at lunch and you exchange ideas there as well. You want to add something to that, Reuben?
No, I was just going to say that you got to have certain leaders on the campus, and we have quite a few people at our school. Our school has just a great teaching staff in general, but this wasn't started by the admin. Dan kind of went forward and said, we would like to do some workshops, and then it just kind of went from there. And then Dan became what was your title at West Hills?
Tech coordinator.
Tech coordinator. I started a class.
It's a tough one.
Yeah, I forget if there's some more to it than that.
Technology coordinator.
Yeah.
Okay. Now it's clear to me. Okay, I got it.
I try to stay away from that job. And another thing that we did was we started a class. Myself and 2 other teachers, awesome guys, a guy named Josh Reyes and Matt Norris. And we started a class called Global Studies, which is we have a geography requirement in our district and a technology requirement. And we kind of mashed them up and created a year-long course. The biggest problem we saw, I was teaching 11th and 12th grade, was that students would come in with no tech skills. So they were basically leaving West Hills High School with not having known anything, how to do any kind of technology other than maybe, creating a Microsoft Word document or something like that.
Unless they're in my world history class.
Yeah, or my U.S. history class, or my government class, or it was not happening with all students. So myself and this other group of teachers said, we need to get the students, if the teachers aren't going to do this, we need to get the students all having the same skills in the 9th grade level. So we created that class, and we are now in the 4th year of that class, so we're starting to see the seniors that started with us as freshmen. And it's amazing on our campus how now teachers are like, well, we can just tell them, give them this assignment, we don't have to teach the technology. Well, that's the idea, is that you if you give them those skills, nobody has to teach technology, and that's what most teachers are afraid of, is they're going to have to take time out of their schedule because they got to hit these standards and all that kind of stuff, and they're afraid themselves of technology. But now that they know that, hey, I can just assign them to do this doc and share this doc or whatever it might be, they're more willing to actually do something with students.
And having been out to the 9 other schools in our district now, and where that's not happening, I can tell you it's made a tremendous difference in the culture at West Hills, and it's something that I'm trying now at a district level to say, we look at this great example of how it works, let's replicate that because everybody agrees this is a priority. So let's actually make it a priority and make changes that will give us those results, because that is the hard part now, is saying, okay, we gotta do things differently from how we've always done them. So, but it's great to have an example, that where we see results. It's actually happening.
So what, Dan, I was going to ask you then. So you were talking. It's funny because I think we were talking on. Now I'm just letting every Voxer go. Scott Bailey's scared now, shaking because I'm going to let all the secrets go on Voxer. But Joanne Fox was talking about this a little bit, and she was talking about. We've been talking pretty deep about professional development and how to change it, and almost doing exactly what you guys just described. There are people in your building. You don't need to bring in outsiders. You have the people that are there in your building that can help out and and kind of do these things. Now, Dan, is there any way that, all right, so at these other schools it's a little bit more of a challenge because you're going to start the other, West Hills has a 4-year head start on them.
Right.
Is there any tricks that you can tell to like find like the Reuben Hoffmans at the other schools, the people that might be willing to go a little bit above and beyond and be like, okay, you know what, I would like to lead some stuff. I mean, it's easy to see a Scott Bedley because Scott will sit there and do that. Allison will sit there and do that too, I know. And so it's just, is there a trick to finding the people that are the leaders?
No, it's finding the people who you think might be the leaders and then trying to empower them and trying to pull them in. And I've just really started that process right now where I've identified some of the key people and a couple of them helped out for our Chromebook rollout. One of them didn't really work out. Another one is actually going to be great at another school. Mike Falconer, Reuben is really taken things up. And next year I'm going to very specifically create a program where I'm going to draw people in that really want to learn everything Google and then be willing to help out. So I'm hoping by this volunteer, go to 3 days, pull-out days, go to an EdTech Summit that's going to be in San Diego, and really just kind of empower them to then do things in their classroom, and hopefully that builds their confidence, that makes them want to start getting out there. Because that's what we've seen just at West Hills. Jared Carmen, was a little nervous the first time I said, I'd really like you to present about this video project, like 4 years ago. And now it's like not a problem, but he just needed that. He needed someone to say, you're doing a good enough, you're doing some amazing stuff, please share, and then giving him the opportunity to do that. And so
one thing, because it's interesting, because I actually, Dan asked me several times to present a while back.
He said no.
Quite a while back. It was a confidence issue. I was doing great things in my classroom maybe, but like, what makes me an authority? Why would people listen to me? And it wasn't until I went through, I got a Teacher of the Year thing, and I kind of really reflected on what I was doing. And I thought, let's just go for it. And I asked Dan and to kind of team up. And that's where kind of a lot of this started, was probably us pushing one another. And I don't know that it happens with all people that are in a classroom. They're just isolated and they don't know what's going on in any other classrooms. And they're why would I be this person that somebody would listen to? And that kind of goes back to some of the other things we did. We volunteered to go and work with the first and second year teachers in our district, and so that we call BITS out in California, and so we now have had, like, was this fourth year, Dan?
This was I think this is our fifth group. I think we've had 5 groups now.
So we've had 5 groups of first and second year teachers that we work with 2 days out of the year. They take off a day and we work with them. And then, those are the kind of things we would do. Summer institutes, we try to get as many of those as possible, to work with as many teachers out in the district as possible. What I think is a problem with trying to find people, like Joanne's incredible. How is she going to find other people, in the district, or how are they going to find people? They're not going to find Joanne Fox. But, what happens is, in our school, I think especially, and most of the people that are working now and doing workshops in our district are people from our school, is that I think it's what's called friction. So people rubbing off on one another, and Dave Burgess and Dan and I, we talk about this a lot, like, why are we where we are, like, in our concept of our hobby of education, willingness to go out and present. We're just pushing each other. We got that friction going on that creates that. And so people, a lot of the people that we know are doing that with each other, even though they're not the same sites. A lot of the people that are in the ed tech world or the education world that are now really connecting through social media, is that they're now pushing each other even further. So I don't know. I think it's hard to find other people. I don't know that maybe there are some people out in the district, but I don't know that there are. Out of 9
they're
high
hiding
schools.
in their classroom. So, and they don't know they're ready either. And maybe they'll say no the first time, but after the 17th time, like Reuben, they'll come around. So.
I think a little bit too. We were talking to George Kuros not that long ago. George Kuros, the guy from EdTech, and George was talking about that too, about that kind of friction, about people, kind of teachers kind of supporting teachers and trying to kind of push them along a little bit. And that was a few weeks ago, but that's what he talked about as well. With his lovely fiance. Oh, if I had we don't have any romantic music though this time. I want to say that I know that I talked a little bit to direct message Joe Mazza, who is in Alaska right now. And in Alaska, I have to say, when I taught up there, they had a good way of doing the finding the people. They would ask for a few, and then you would submit an application, and then you'd go to a 2-week summer class, and then when you were done, you'd go through all this stuff. You'd have homework, and what they gave you afterwards was they gave you a projector, which was a hot commodity back in 2005, and they gave us like a MacBook. And then our responsibility was to kind of try and teach the people at our campus, or if we could line it up, go to other campuses for like the weekly staff meeting and kind of things. And I think that's kind of where I started to do I know that's where I started to really enjoy computers a whole bunch, was just like immersing myself for it in a 2-week class that was run by the district. And I think that they did a great job. The lady that did that, Mary Wagner, she's now she was like the technology coordinator for the Anchorage School District. She's now superintendent in Sitka, so I know that she's a smart person, and so that ought to show you right there. I think that's a good idea. That might be the kind of programs that people need to start. Okay, so you guys are so interesting. We're just going. I can't even be like not serious with you guys. Come on,
John. This is like the '84 draft.
Oh my gosh!
In San Diego, you got Reuben, you got Dan, you got
I know we could compare it all. We could be like, I think that out of the '84 draft, I would be more the Charles Barkley chunky guy, just because I'm chunky, not because I play like Charles Barkley. All right, let's go ahead and go to your Twitter users to follow. We did have some San Diego trivia for you, but we might have to skip that. That's okay.
We can talk fast.
Yeah, we can talk fast. We can talk fast.
There's always time for trivia.
Kurt will spell fast as well on the Twitter handle, so go ahead. Reuben, why don't you start us off with your 2 people to follow on the Twitters?
All right, I've got Ben Brazo from Wisconsin, actually.
He is a Scouty. Jump around.
Yeah, he's a guy that I connected with, I think 2 summers ago. I don't know, somewhere around 2 summers ago. And he sent me an email, and we just kind of started talking through email. We've had a lot of stuff, connect a lot on Twitter. He's a sociology teacher, and I just kind of said, hey, why don't you get on Twitter? Why don't you? And he just took everything and just went for it. And he's now doing SST Lab chat on Twitter, and he's just super engaged in learning more and getting better, and he's just a great guy. So I would recommend following Ben for sure.
Right.
He's probably been to Milwaukee too.
He probably has been to Milwaukee. Ben, you can find him on Twitter at BRAZ74. BRAZ74.
All right. Reuben, I love your second person. Big shout out for this person. Go ahead.
Adina Sullivan. She is San Diegan also. She works in San Marcos School District. She's just, I can't say enough about Adina. She's just incredible. Just not just as a educator, but just as a person. So if there was a friend that you wanted, or somebody who would always be there for you, I think Adina would be that person. But she's also sharing all kinds of great stuff on Twitter, Google Plus. She was just accepted to the Google Teacher Academy in Mountain View.
Oh,
so
nice.
She's incredible.
Somebody else is accepted to that too.
I second Adina. She's fantastic. So.
Yeah, Adina is super nice. I like her a lot. All right, Dan, go ahead and hit us up with your 2 people.
Okay, first one is Lee Muriel, and she works at San Diego County Office of Education, and just has been in city schools. Was originally a world languages teacher, Spanish teacher. Was in the San Diego City schools in their ed tech department for a while, and now is working in the ed tech department down at the county office, and is just really doing some great things, trying to spread ed tech goodness to all the districts in San Diego County.
You can find Lee on Twitter at Lee Murrell, LEIGHMURRELL.
Spell Adina too.
Adina, and she sang "Let It Go." Isn't she the one who sang that?
Yeah,
Adina Menzel.
I think that's Adele.
Oh, okay. Adina Sullivan, A-D-I-N-A, Sullivan. Traditional spelling on Sullivan, A-D-I-N-A.
There we go. All right, Al, and you know what? Go ahead and give us your second person.
Okay, Simon Miller, and I just found him.
Simon, you know Simon.
Simon.
Okay.
Camp. Love that guy.
Yeah, lead ed tech. And I just found him when he was doing his video for the Google Teacher Academy, and he looked at a lot of the stuff that he was doing and doing some great things. And then this whole journey he's going on right now to adopt his third daughter from China has been just amazing on Twitter and Google+. So I just wanted to give him a shout out because I've really enjoyed his ed tech stuff from before the last couple of weeks, but the journey he's been on the last couple of weeks and how he's sharing it has been very moving. So he's my second choice.
Yeah, Simon. I've met Simon face to face. We were all in Portland together. Truly one of the nicest people you would ever meet. Certainly represents the profession of education incredibly well. And Simon Miller, so lead, L-E-A-D-E-D, tech. Lead ed tech.
Or JEDITECHSM.
Or Vandalgrad.
Or VANDALGRAD, whichever strikes him. You know, if we can say one thing
That's
about
why you
Simon.
just found him, Dan, because he's changed. You've actually been following him for years.
Probably.
He just keeps changing
Oh,
his
that's pretty funny. Well, I think that Simon Miller is the Craig Yen of Idaho, basically. We have Craig Yen holding down the nice on California, and then there's Simon holding down the nice in Idaho, and then there's grouchy Carl Lindgren Omelet holding down the grouchy part of California as well.
I'm still wondering what this Google Teacher thing is. I don't even know what is this?
Yeah, I haven't seen anything about that on Twitter. I mean, I don't know.
I think that someone's going that we know. In this
Someone
hangout.
in the hangout?
Someone in the Hangout going? That's crazy.
Teacher Academy?
Teacher Academy?
Is it like a reform school for teachers?
Yes, it sounds like it.
It's for those ones that have way too much enthusiasm and teach different things every day and never bore their students. What's wrong with those teachers? Send them to an academy.
He's going to Google like a pirate.
There you go.
All right. So let's go ahead and...
No, we have one more Twitter user.
Oh, we do?
Yep.
Yeah,
oh,
you
it's
got
mine.
one.
Holy cow. Okay, so here. Sorry, this is my...
George Michael.
So I have George Phillip as my Twitter user. I like to pay attention to my own show. George Phillip is my Twitter user, and I just wanted to say that George kind of asked me a question on the Twitters, as we like to call it, and he's from South Bend, Indiana. I think he's a 5th and 6th grade teacher, and he asked a question. I said, well, I'll Google Hangout with you. And, you know, Kurt, you know how I roll. I love the Google Hangout. I don't care if it's with anybody. And so we talked a little bit, and I think what we're going to do is George sounded really like he's doing a lot of stuff in South Bend, and we didn't hold it against him that he's in South Bend.
You
right?
didn't hold it against him.
Oh, okay.
I was Googling out with him.
Is there some sort of university in South Bend?
Yeah, there's a small
I've never heard of that town.
A small private university in South Bend, Indiana.
No,
but George wants to move to the West Coast, so maybe he'll be working with Reuben and Dan pretty soon. But they'd be good to hire.
George. I'd want to get out of South Bend too.
Allison, you are so South Bend prejudiced. We need to talk. We need to have a whole show about that.
There's nothing wrong with the town. I'm sure there's a lot of nice people in South Bend.
So anyway, so I hung out with George Phillip. He's G.E. Phillip, and I think that he's going to go to ISTE, and we might even have him on to do a little recap for the old show sometime. He's a very interesting, nice guy. I like to. That's what I'm saying. It's funny how people can just tweet at me, and I like it because this is how it does. Maybe this happens to Scott Bedley a little bit. but he goes, "Hey, I just found Techlandia, and I kind of like the show. There's nothing nicer you can say to me in a direct message." And I'm like, "Really? That stinky old show?" So then,
I kind of like it.
yeah, no, he said he kind of liked it. That's good enough right there. We've got to take what
It's
we
not horrible.
I absolutely love this show.
Yeah, he said he started listening to it, and so I'm like, okay, let's go. And so I talked to him, and I think we might have him do a little ISTE recap. So since we're not going this year, this will be the first time that I haven't gone in like 6 years. But I'm actually...
Allison and I have voted, as we're looking at the show notes, we want to hear about Chrome extensions that our guests can recommend.
Since you guys are so versed in them.
Go ahead, Dan. I think it's just one.
Yeah, well, I think Chrome extensions and Chrome apps, and then add-ons and docs and sheets really are just changing everything. And the Chrome browser is pretty much the educational browser right now, I believe.
Of course.
And if you're not using it, then start.
That's right.
And the one that I'm actually really kind of digging right now is it's not super fancy, and it's not gonna do circles for you, but it's the Text Help Study Skills add-on that's in the doc, and then the Read and Write Google that allows you to mark up documents. The Read and Write Google will read web pages, PDFs, Google Docs to you, let you do highlights, and let you draw all your highlights into another document, which I think is, again, and that's not terribly fancy, but we're looking at teachers trying to transform basic things they do day to day on paper and doing them digitally, and that's something that English teachers in particular said, well, we really can't use them because the comment tool is not enough. And so now these tools are adding a lot more flexibility, making docs a lot more robust than they were before. So
no, that's like the Scott Bedley of Chrome extensions right there. He's just solid, nothing flashy, just all substance. That's what we like. That's what we like.
I just try to keep my head down and just keep my head down and
keep reaching for the stars.
That's right.
So yeah, that's pretty cool. Reuben, do you have any Chrome extensions or Chrome apps that are besides those two?
I think you just check out Chromando JR. His presentation. He's got all kinds of stuff on there. So, I'm not going to waste my time. Just go check out Chromando. Look up Chromando, and JR has got an incredible.
JRGO.
Yeah. And JR will be on the show at some point, but he said when I asked him at the Q conference in March, he said he was really busy.
I just saw him today. He was hanging out, John. He had nothing to do today.
Oh man, I'm gonna get that. JR, I'm gonna go back out to California at some point. I'll find you. I'll hunt you down. You and Moss Pike, you guys are dodging me. All right, so we'll have to sit there. I'm still mad at Moss Pike. He hasn't answered my Voxer yet. So.
What?
Yeah, I know. Allison, maybe Allison needs to reach out to him. Allison and Moss are old friends.
I just saw him Thursday talking about design thinking. He was great talking about design thinking.
Yeah, he could come on the show and talk about it too. We share it with. Don't just share it with the Cali. Share it with the whole 20 people that listen. All right, so here are some San Diego trivia. Kurt, would you like to read the San Diego trivia? I have the answers in front of me.
All right. I'm going to start with question number 8. Which guest was born in San Diego County?
Ooh.
No.
I think it's Kurt.
I've never been to San Diego, so
okay.
I was born in South Dakota.
Okay, I saw Blink 182 and just got confused.
All right, Reuben, you have a guess?
It's got to be Scott because I was not born in San Diego.
Was it Scott Bedley?
Scott, that's what happens when I hit the wrong horn. I hate it.
I was born in San Diego County, down in a little city called Fallbrook, the avocado capital of the world.
Oh,
is there a hospital?
And now you know the secret passcode question to crack all my email accounts and everything like that. So.
And I think Blink 182's All the Small Things was actually written about Scott Bedley. All right, question 7. What's Sammy's favorite fast food restaurant? Got started in San Diego in 1951.
Wow.
Okay, this is a legit question.
In 1951?
But looking at me, what fast food restaurant don't I
guess
like?
McDonald's. Is it McDonald's? That's what I'm going to guess.
McDonald's. It's not McDonald's. That was
McDonald's
started in
started in
Chicago,
Illinois.
by the way, by Ray
Yes.
Kroc. Went to my high school. Go ahead.
Man, no idea.
It's not Taco John's, I know that.
Okay, it's not Taco John. Scott Bedley, do you know this answer?
I don't.
All right, no guesses?
In-N-Out Burger.
That's a good guess.
That's Los Angeles.
Listening on Californians know that's not true. It is Jack in the Box.
Oh, yeah.
You like those late night tacos, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
I think the
Especially
fact
really
that
late
that's
at
one of my
night, at
favorite
like 2
fast
a.m.
food
Those are the best
restaurants.
tacos.
That is
All
horrible.
right. Okay, keep going, Kurt.
All right, how many hours per year does the average San Diego resident spend commuting to work? How many hours per year does the average San Diego County
We'll give
resident
you a plus or
spend
minus
commuting
of
to work?
25.
It's not work when it's in San Diego. It's just enjoyment, Kurt. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
it's just-
question's like a
it's just
trick.
life.
San Diego, you know, people in San Diego off at 5, home by 4:30. I know how it works down there.
I'm going to say 5,000 hours. Or 5,000 minutes.
Oh, okay. I have it in hours. Can you convert that to? I can't.
83 hours.
83. All right, a little bit higher than 83.
80, really?
Hmm.
Oh, I didn't. How about 166? I didn't account for the other way.
Oh, okay. That's
Am I
good
closer?
too. It's actually 246 hours.
Wow.
Or we could use this sound effect for the traffic. Okay, keep going.
All right, San Diego County produces the most blank, some type of crop, of any region in the country.
Scott already
Produce
said
the
it, I
most of.
think.
I bet.
Ruben, you have the answer?
I think Scott had the answer. He said he was born in Fallbrook. And what else did you say?
Avocados.
Avocados is the correct answer.
Everybody loves some good guacamole.
I do.
All right, who was the first person to drive over the landmark San Diego Coronado Bridge, which opened in 1969, connecting downtown San Diego with Coronado? So who was the first person to drive over
Famous
that?
person.
Ron Burgundy.
Ooh,
No.
you got the first name
You
right,
got,
though.
you got the first right, yeah. Ronald Reagan.
There we go. Ronald Reagan. Very good.
All right.
All right, there we go. Oh, and then I think question number 5 is...
Yeah, okay, so question 5. Name a San Diego Padre who has actually won the World Series.
That's funny. It hurts, too.
Well,
Okay, so
playing for the Padres.
Jim Edmonds, Ozzie Smith, or David Freese would be correct.
Oh, wow. You went that way. Okay.
Are those the only three?
While they were
After their
Padres? Is that what you're
Well,
saying?
not while they were Padres.
After they were Padres.
That's funny.
Dave Winfield?
Silly.
Dave Winfield, nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, very
Dave
good.
Winfield.
Minnesota.
Okay.
All right,
You
and
have to
what's the population of
ask-
San Diego County or San Diego County in 1850?
Well, I think I might have cheated and looked this up, but
Okay.
I found 650 non-Indian population.
Okay, we'll accept that. That was within 500. It's actually what I had on my internet from Wikipedia. The most, the best source for your solid information that can't be unfact based. 798.
Okay.
Now there's like 3 million plus.
Yeah.
Oh man, they're so lucky. Those 3 million plus are so lucky to live there. Okay, so are you guys baseball fans? Who's the better hitter, Ted Williams, Tony Gwynn? There you go.
I'm gonna have to say Ted Williams because he hit with power also.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tony
I'll
Gwynn
second
had
that.
like that one season where he hit 30 home runs. That was pretty crazy. But
Yeah, because he
Yeah.
put his mind to it. Tony Gwynn's pretty solid, I have to say. Does he still coaching the Aztecs? Or no?
Just
He's
took a
on-
leave of absence. He has mouth cancer.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
2 or
horrible.
3. This is the second or third time he's had to take a leave of absence because of that. So
was he a tobacco user?
he was.
Oh, see, there we go.
Very
Very
nice
Lesson
fellow.
for the
that Tony
kids.
Yeah.
All right, so is there any way that we can squeeze one more Jenny McCarthy reference into the show before we leave?
There's
Allison?
no squeezing Jenny McCarthy allowed. No.
Oh no, Kurt, we're gonna have to edit some more. You're making it like
At
you're making
least
it
that's
tough
at the end. You can just chop it off.
John,
Yeah,
edit there.
John, edit there.
you know what I do want to squeeze in? The Blue Angels, the Navy Marine Corps flight team. Airfest is going on here in La Crosse, Wisconsin, and we were fortunate to have a pilot from the Blue Angels flight crew at my school Friday morning.
Oh,
Wow.
And
cool.
you could Dusty Cook, you could find him on Twitter at Dusty Lee Cook. And so so imagine Val Kilmer from the movie Top Gun.
Okay, I can imagine
Dusty,
that.
oh my goodness, Dusty looks just like this guy.
I'm gonna follow him right now.
Iceman.
Yeah, I had
What did you say? Could you spell that?
Dusty Lee Cook. I had teachers like knocking one another over to go get the. All right, but aside from that, he is a handsome and fit fellow. But he's extremely nice, and he's very interactive on social media. And he came and spoke to my students and my staff, and he was just a fantastic, very good guy. Represents the Marine Corps very well. Dusty Lee Cook, check him out.
He's like the George Couros of the Blue Angels.
George Couros wishes.
Oh, there's the gauntlet has been thrown down. Okay, George Couros, you follow Dusty Lee, and let's compare. I still take George. I don't even have to look at him, but we'll see. All right, my last little one for you guys is the number. There's been a number in the news this week that I think has not been in the news for a long time, as far as I can remember. 2 billion has come up twice this week. Number one, my favorite video, Gangnam Style, just crossed the 2 billion view mark.
Wow.
Is that crazy? And then the Clippers sold for $2 billion. Scott Bedley, we were going to go to a Clippers game at one time this year. Are the Clippers really worth $2 billion?
I think if you move them north, they're worth $2 billion.
Yeah. Where you want to move them to Seattle?
I would. I'd move them to Seattle or bring them down to Orange County. That's what I would do.
Do you remember when the Clippers played in San Diego, guys?
Yeah.
Remember that?
I went and saw it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Terry Cummings, World Be Free.
World Be Free used to be one of my favorite players. That was good. I have seen the Clippers play, but I saw them in Chicago Stadium. But that's just because I'm Grandpa Sammy, the oldest man in the hangout. But yeah, so that I just thought it was funny that the Clippers sold for $2 billion and Gangnam Style reached 2 billion views. So I mean, I didn't know that when I was watching Gangnam Style those 100 times that I added $100 worth of value to the Clippers each time. I didn't know they were tied together. Kind of scary.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for being on the show. I feel like you guys could almost keep going, and we could do like a 2-hour-long Techlandia. But then again, we already are under serious pressure for going 1 hour. So
Most people
we'll stop
the
there.
first
Yeah,
7 or 8 minutes anyway. So
Yeah, I know. People
Isn't
have
it the last
listened to
30?
30
It's just kind of, isn't that what you were talking about last week? The last 30 is just people start to tune out.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
How long have we been talking at you?
Well, thanks for being on the show. We really appreciate having you guys. And tell us really quick, what are your presentations at ISTE going to be?
We have one.
Okay.
It's actually on Web Tools. So we do a interactive presentation where we go through I guess it's a choose your own adventure, and then people get to pick what web tool category they want to learn about, and then we use Socrative to take the votes, and then we go wherever the audience wants to go, and we check it out. We just demonstrate or show all kinds of things that students have done with different tools.
So
Very cool.
It's
That's
Called
cool.
The Digital Natives Are Restless.
Yeah, it's
The
called
Digital Natives Are Restless 2.0.
Nice. I
Cool.
like that.
I'll be presenting up in Portland with Allison around ISTE time. So
You might
Really?
be showing Victoria Olsen what 4th of July is all about.
that's right.
That's right. Show those Canadians what we do down in America. By the way, Allison, what are your last words?
I don't have any. Oh,
Allison, come on.
Hawks, go Hawks.
I've
go
been
Hawks.
trying to coach you on this the whole Voxer before this. All right, so Allison, I'll cut that out. Allison, do you have any last words?
Go Hawks!
There we go. Go Blackhawks, beat the Kings, and we'll catch you on the flip side.